Good morning. I hope your Yom Kippur was meaningful. And today is the 11th day of Tishrei, the day after Yom Kippur on the Jewish calendar. It's the first day of a new slate. And fortunately, the Torah gives us a pretty packed schedule going forward to be able to fill our days with meaningful activities, preparing for Sukkot, which starts today with a bang. As far as putting up a sukkah, getting our lulav and our etrog, getting our mind into gear. One of the things that the Torah tells us, the Talmud tells us about the Torah's phraseology about the sukkah, where it says the language of the Torah is that the entire Israel, every citizen of Israel and of the Jewish people, will sit in sukkahs, and it's the idea. There's an emphasis on everybody, and it can mean in if you want to take it as far as practical, what it means is we should each have a sukkah. But the Talmud says that this is telling us that, in principle and ideally, we could all be sitting in one big sukkah. In other words, Sukkot is a unity holiday and a time for us to get together. Now, in this COVID environment, that's really not possible or medically feasible, and obviously watching for our health is a priority, and that's what we have to do. At the same time, as discussed in Shul here yesterday, we're looking at this reality and really living by this reality and holding the COVID reality as a very important factor in our lives and in amending and guiding our behaviors accordingly. I think it's really important that we see this as the aberration it is. Maimonides writes that human beings are created by God to be, the language is chavruti, means that we're social beings. Friendship, interconnectedness, physical interconnectedness, not only with family, is an important part of who we are, and actually healthy interconnectedness with our neighbors and associates and strangers is a big part of the objective of Torah, to get us to that to a place where there's the proper empathy and respect for others. So, while isolation, if you're talking about a few hours here and a few hours there, and meditation, private time is all really important, but this is months of isolation is really not it runs counter somewhat to the human experience. And it runs counter to where Torah wants us to be. We're supposed to be sitting in principle in one big sukkah, which again we can't do today, and we shouldn't do today if it's against, and it is against, medical advice. But in our mindset, especially as it approaches sukkahs, it's important to bear in mind that in God's world, and this is God's world, and God's plan for the world, we should be together. And we're going to have to ride this out. I don't know how long it's going to take, but I am confident there will be the other side, a time when it becomes medically safe for us once again to sit together, eat and drink together, to give a hug, to just be a community, be a larger family, and we have to keep our aspiration, not shift our concept of normal and say this is the new norm going forward, that we are isolated islands connecting through Zoom and Facebook Live, which we can continue to do later for those who can't be with us. Our norm is a community. Our norm is fraternity, brotherhood, sisterhood, and we're going to ride this wave and keep our distance and wear our masks But this, in our minds, is an aberration. We have to learn our lessons from it, but keep our eye on the ball. We have to sit in one sukkah together. Wish you a great day and a wonderful sukkah is coming up.